Hello everybody and welcome back to this channel. It's always good to have you back. Today we are going to journey through the legal world, and with me is a team of legal practitioners, advocates for that matter. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much. And to you viewers, my name is Faria Jama. I am an advocate by profession. We will have an interesting conversation around children.
Thank you so much for accepting this invitation. Actually, as we are having this conversation, I am a worried citizen. I am worried because of the news that have been hitting the headlines. Just this week, we've had a case of a German national who has been given 81 years of imprisonment, and we also have a pastor who has been jailed for 70 years, all for defiling minors. Rise in cases of online abuse of children. It's really worrying. And I'm sure you agree with me on that.
I actually do agree with you. I was wondering at what point were we going to realize that this is a ticking bomb? Children who are so vulnerable, and I mean, a pastor.
Really worrying, you know,
Yeah,
when it
what's
comes
happening
to
to that?
what is really happening. So just kindly help us understand when it comes to protecting children from all forms of abuse and neglect. What are the specific rights that children are entitled to, and what is the legal framework that ensures that indeed these children enjoy these rights?
One thing that you need to understand, Halima and the viewers, is that children have been the foundation of all our legal structures.
Exactly.
The law has always protected the child. And let's just start with our own Kenyan laws. Our own constitution, the Kenyan constitution, Article 53, has already outlined for us the right of a child, and every child has a right from all forms of abuse, violence, punishment, neglect. It might seem so small, whether it's either physically, mentally, the children need to be protected. They need to be taken care of, and so we see that apart from the constitution, we have different other laws that have been created always to protect the child. So where are we lacking? As a country, what is missing out?
Because we actually have very many, you know, laws, regulations, policies. Is it the enforcement? Where is the gap? Because we have very beautiful legal structure, well articulated.
The thing is, it's not even about enforcement. The enforcement has been there. We have even the children's court. We even have even laws that are clearly showing what needs to be done in certain scenarios. And we look at things from this point of view. Is it that the world is changing so much that the child becomes more vulnerable and vulnerable every single day? Because we have conventions of rights of children. We have the African Charter on the rights of children, and in this it's connected for that purposes with our own constitution. And we're looking at the Children's Act also being there. The Children's Act of 2022 has already showed about parental responsibility. It has already talked about issues on how children need to be taken care of, from issues of guardianship, from how children need to be maintained, educated. Also, whose responsibility is it? Is it for parents when they're at school? Whose responsibility is it for teachers? So we feel that responsibility changes hands when a child is in different areas.
Exactly.
But then again, the law is very clear on how children have to be protected, and we even have the act establishing children's courts so that they can conduct any investigation around civil and criminal. And I like the fact that you mentioned those, because I watched the news and I saw that case and I was like, wow. This has just
we are failing our children as a country.
Yes,
as
it has just been happening under our nose.
Exactly.
Because how is it that this person who's an 81 years old has been going through defiling children for all those
unnoticed
years? And where was this
There are
demarcations of
so many gaps when you look at it keenly. So I think if it starts from a point of children being taken care of by the closest person to this child, then cases of child abuse will come out quickly, as opposed to waiting for someone so far to notice this case and then take appropriate action. It has to start with the closest person to this child, you know.
so you see now I really agree on that. Because yes, they need to be taken care of, but now the law is already clear about it. And let's just look at a few things. And you know, when the law was being created, the legislatures were always looking at the best interest of the child. And in the best interest of the child, they first looked at paramount considerations to Article 53, ensuring one, there's no abuse, there's no harmful cultural practices, you know, if Jen started like that, and then violence, and then we see inhumane treatment, because now, whose responsibility? The parent is responsible, and you know, the law is highlighting on the responsibility of a parent. But then again, sometimes the parent might not be in the vicinity of the child, because for example, I've taken my child to a prayer place, like the story of the pastor. So I knew at the church that's the most safe, the most least places that I would be so worried that my child is in. But then now it's becoming a trend that the pastors will leave our, you know, the religious leaders that will leave our children with are taking advantage of our children. And then now, apart from that, then now the parent also takes the child to school. So where we're looking at different institutions coming in, and this different institution, is there a way that the different institution can take care of children, and who is safe then? Who's safe? Because now it's becoming an issue of Sexual Offences Act has been there for a while, and the main law was always dealing with sexual offences in the country, involving either anyone, but children were also being protected. There was the specific clauses that protect the child from these harmful practices, and because now sex for food is one of the discussions that is happening, because even the children are being used in circumstances where they need to create income for the family.
Exactly. So things like sex trafficking,
yes,
you know, child labor,
yes,
children being used as commodities out there, and their services being used by family members to get money for food. I think it's also an issue of poverty, which is...
Let's look at that very deeply, because now, if it's an issue of poverty, children are the most vulnerable.
Exactly.
So it means that the Sexual Offences Act is not being respected, or the Children's Act is not being respected, to the extent that now the law is clear, and it states that the children needs to be protected, maintained, provided for. But now the children who are supposed to be provided for are being used as tools to escape from poverty or to get food to our table.
And they should be protected and provided for instead.
So now, that's also now what we need to look at.
Poverty should not be used as an excuse to exploit children or use them in a way that exploits them in some way.
Yes, so inhumane treatment is not supposed to be there in the first place, but now poverty is being used as a way of, defiling children, misusing, exposing them to more inhumane treatment.
And I understand that rights are not contingent to, is not subject to other things being fulfilled, right?
Yes.
A right should just be respected and fulfilled as it is, not being pegged to we are poor, so you should do this to survive and all. They should just be accorded the protection and the providence they deserve, despite the family situation, however little the family can provide, provided that child has access to those basic needs.
No, my question would look like, are we failing as a community and as a society? Because this was not a discussion. It wasn't. Even when communities and families were poor, children were not a gateway
No.
to food. But I think it has been normalized,
Mhm.
and that normalization is what we need to look at.
Mhm.
And the normalization has a problem with where did we stop? Thinking about morals, about what is the law, about the regulation. How did these things fail?
Is it the changing world? Is it the evolving of the strategy that the culprits use to, to exploit these children? So many things are playing, if you look at it keenly, with the changing world, the internet is coming in, there are different issues, economic, social, political, all these factors are playing against children if you look at it, despite the fact that we have also positive things that have come with all these changes that are coming in today's world. In the past, people were living communally. Now people are living, everyone for themselves and God for us all. So if it's your child, you need to take care of that child, So I think it's also an issue of mindset that people should be more inclined towards looking at other people's children as a child in general, and who is vulnerable and needs to be protected.
Also, the dynamics of the change in the world should not be a hindrance to the growth of a child. Because we're looking at it from this angle. Even before it was our responsibility, anyone, even for you, if you saw a child on the road, it doesn't matter if that child is mine, but we needed to just take care of a child.
Yes.
Naturally. Communal, we have this responsibility, like our neighbor used to take care of us, and that was not her job. So we grew up in such setups, and we knew that if my mom is not here, my teacher is here, my neighbor is here, people around us will take care of me.
Yeah.
So now, so digital inclusion or technology, yes, it has some demarcation, but then again, it means that now we need to relook at some things. It's not about it's not about the innovation happening, it's not about the changes happening, it's about what is happening and that is being normalized about children, ill treatment, abandonment, and that is likely to cause them suffering and injuries to this. So that's what we need to relook at.
I agree.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Farhia, for letting us in on the legal, the framework, framework on child protection and the rights that children are entitled to. I hope you like this session. We are going to have more of such discussions. Stay tuned, subscribe, like, and share this video. We are going to have many other episodes to come when it comes to legal discussions on child protection. Bye for now.